The foreclosure notice arrived on a Tuesday night, sliding out of its pristine white envelope like a paper knife aimed straight at my heart. I had just finished my second shift at the mortgage consulting firm, and my chamomile tea was still too hot to drink. My name is Helen, and until that moment, I thought I knew exactly who I was and where I stood in life. 34, single, responsible to a fault. The kind of woman who color codes her financial records and pays her mortgage 3 days early every single month. "This has to be a mistake," I whispered, scanning the document again. But there it was, in black and white, my name, my address, my supposed signature on a refinancing agreement I'd never seen before. The dates, the account numbers, everything looked official. My hands started shaking. I called the bank immediately, despite the late hour. "I never authorized this," I told the customer service representative. "I never signed anything." "Ma'am, we have all the paperwork on file. The refinancing was processed 6 months ago, and the payments have been consistently late since then. We've sent multiple warnings." "Warnings to where? I haven't received anything." "The correspondence address was changed during the refinancing. Let me verify. Yes, it's being sent to a business address on Oak Street." My brother Dylan's latest startup office. The room started spinning. I drove to my parents' house at midnight, still in my work clothes. Mom answered the door in her robe, Dad right behind her. "Helen, what's wrong, mija?" I held up the foreclosure notice. "Care to explain why my house is being taken away for loans I never approved?" The color drained from my mother's face. My father's expression hardened into something I'd never seen before, guilt mixed with defiance. "Come inside," he said quietly. "We need to talk." "Dylan needed the capital," Mom started explaining as we sat at their kitchen table, the same one where we'd shared Sunday dinners for decades. His new venture had such potential, but the banks wouldn't approve him for more loans. "So, you stole my identity?" My voice cracked. "You forged my signature?" "Borrowed," Dad corrected. "We were going to pay it back before you ever found out. Dylan promised." "Dylan promises a lot of things," I cut in. "Like all those times he promised to pay back the money I lent him for his sure thing investments? The money I earned working doubles and triples while he was out networking?" "He's your brother," Mom pleaded. "We thought you'd understand. You're the strong one, Helen. You always land on your feet." I laughed, a hollow sound that scared even me. "Strong one? That's what you call the daughter you can exploit? The reliable backup plan?" "Don't be dramatic," Dad said. "This is family. We do what we must for family." "Family!" I stood up so fast my chair toppled backward. "I worked 7 years to pay off that house early. 7 years of overtime and side gigs and saying no to vacations. That house was my security, my future. And you just gave it away to Dylan?" "He needed another chance," Mom whispered. "Just one more chance." "And what about my chance? My choice?" Tears were falling now, but I couldn't feel them. "Did it ever occur to you that I earned the right to say no?" "Helen, please." Dad reached for my hand. I pulled away. "We can fix this. Together. As a family." "Family," I repeated, the word tasting like ash in my mouth. "Right." I walked out without another word, their calls echoing behind me. In my car, I sat motionless, staring at their porch light until it blurred. 7 years of sacrifice. Gone. My sanctuary. Gone. My trust. Gone. At home, for however long it remained mine, I went straight to my home office. The bottom drawer held a thick black binder labeled Policy and Legal Assets. Inside were insurance documents, property records, and every financial statement I'd ever received. I pulled out my phone and opened my contact list. Scrolled past Dylan's name, past my parents, past the aunts and uncles who would surely take their side. Stopped at a name I hadn't called in years, Martina, my cousin, the family outcast, the ruthless attorney who'd sued her own uncle for fraud and won. My hands weren't shaking anymore as I added a new tab to the binder. Evidence. They thought I was the strong one, the reliable one? Fine. Let me show them just how strong I can be. The forgery isn't even good, Claire said, squinting at the documents spread across my kitchen counter. Look at how the H-E in your signature tilts the wrong way. Amateur hour. My best friend had shown up at dawn with coffee and her trademark brutal honesty. I'd barely slept, spending the night documenting everything I could remember about Dylan's financial history with our family. Amateur or not, it worked, I said, taking another sip of coffee. The bank accepted it. 6 months of payments I knew nothing about, redirected statements, the whole thing. You're filing charges, right? Claire's eyes narrowed. Because if you're thinking of letting this slide, already called a lawyer, meeting him in 2 hours. The lawyer's office smelled like leather and authority. Mr. Patterson listened without interrupting as I laid out the evidence, his expression growing darker with each detail. This is textbook identity theft, he said finally. The fact that it's family doesn't change the criminality. Have you filed a police report? Not yet. I wanted to. File it today, he cut in. Right after we're done here. The sooner we establish a paper trail, the better. I nodded, my throat tight. Will I have to testify against them? Most likely. Are you prepared for that? Yes. The word came out stronger than I expected. The police station was next. Officer Martinez took my statement, her pen scratching against paper as I recounted every detail. When I finished, she looked up with unexpected sympathy. Family fraud cases are the worst, she said, but you're doing the right thing. Too many victims stay quiet out of shame or loyalty. My phone buzzed continuously throughout the process, texts and calls from my parents, growing increasingly desperate. Mom, please call us. We can explain everything. Dad, your mother hasn't stopped crying. Is this what you want? Dylan, hey sis, heard you're upset. Let's grab coffee and talk it out. I ignored them all. Back at work, I couldn't focus. My colleague Sandra stopped by my desk around lunch. There's someone here to see you, she whispered. Says he's your brother? I found Dylan in the lobby, wearing his startup founder best, designer jeans, blazer, practiced smile. He held up a peace offering, my favorite caramel latte. Get out, I said quietly. Come on, Helen, don't be like that. He stepped closer. Look, I know things got messy, but I can fix this. The new venture is about to take off. Like the last 3 were about to take off? I kept my voice low, professional. Leave, now, or I'll call security. His smile faltered. You're really going to do this? Turn against your own family? You did that when you stole my house. Borrowed, he hissed. Jesus, you're so dramatic. Mom and Dad are devastated. Is that what you wanted? What I wanted was a choice. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Claire. Did you message Martina yet? I hadn't. The thought of reaching out to my estranged cousin made my stomach clench. Martina had cut ties with the family years ago, after a brutal legal battle with our uncle over his failed business. The family called her heartless, cruel, a traitor to blood. Now I wondered if she'd been right all along. Back at my desk, I opened LinkedIn and found her profile, still at her own law firm, still specializing in fraud cases. My cursor hovered over the message button. Just do it, Claire texted again. What's the worst that could happen? I typed quickly before I could change my mind. Hi, Martina. It's Helen. I need your help. Family fraud situation, similar to what you dealt with. Can we talk? The response came 3 minutes later. Well, which one of them finally got to you? Call me tonight. Here's my number. And Helen, let's light your match. As I saved her number, my work email pinged. Anonymous sender. Ms. Ramirez, I work in document processing at First National. What happened to you isn't right. Attached are copies of all paperwork related to your refinancing, including internal emails confirming the signature verification was rushed through. I'm sorry, but I can't come forward officially. Good luck. I downloaded everything with shaking hands. There it was. proof. Emails between my parents and the bank, Dylan's business plan, every forged document. My phone buzzed one more time. Mom again. Please, mija, don't destroy this family. I stared at her message for a long moment before typing my response. You already did that. I'm just documenting the ruins. Then I blocked their numbers, one by one, and dialed Martina's. Martina arrived like a storm in a designer suit, her heels clicking against the airport terminal floor with military precision. 5 years hadn't changed her much. Same sharp eyes, same no-nonsense posture. But her smile, when she saw me, was genuine. You look terrible, she said, hugging me briefly. When's the last time you slept? Does it matter? Yes, we need you sharp. She hailed a taxi. First stop, your family accountant. Carl's office was exactly as I remembered, cramped, cluttered, smelling of coffee and printer ink. His eyes widened when he saw Martina. I'm not at liberty to discuss client information, he started, shuffling papers nervously. Martina placed a document on his desk. Actually, you are. Helen's signed release, plus evidence of fraudulent activity involving accounts you manage. Choose carefully what happens next, Carl. He deflated like a punctured balloon. I tried to talk them out of it, he muttered. Told them it was illegal, dangerous. When? I demanded. When did you know? Your father approached me 8 months ago. Said Dylan had a sure thing, just needed capital. I warned him banks wouldn't touch it. Then he mentioned your house. And you didn't think to warn me? Carl wouldn't meet my eyes. They're my oldest clients, Helen. Your father said you'd understand once Dylan's business took off. Martina's laugh was cold. How's that working out? Show us everything, Carl. Now. The next hour was a blur of documents, each worse than the last. Not just my house. They'd refinanced Dad's pension, taken loans against both properties, all funneled into Dylan's LLC. They're underwater, Carl admitted finally. The startup's bleeding money. Your parents? They're basically bankrupt. The room tilted sideways. Martina's hand gripped my arm, steadying me. That's why they did it, I whispered. They're counting on me to forgive them, to save them. Again. Helen, Carl leaned forward. They're your parents. Surely. Surely what? Martina cut in. Surely she'll sacrifice herself again? Keep enabling their fraud? You don't understand family loyalty. I understand the law, Martina snapped. And accountability. Copy everything, Carl. Now. Outside the sun was setting. I stood on the sidewalk feeling strangely empty. You okay? Martina asked. I should be crying, right? Screaming? Breaking things? There's no should. Feel what you feel. That's just it. I turned to her. I don't feel anything. They're drowning, and I don't feel anything. Martina's expression softened. Come on. You need food, and I need to tell you a story. The diner was quiet, just us and a few truckers. Martina stirred her coffee, considering her words. Remember when I sued Uncle Roberto? The family never shut up about it. Called you a traitor. Yeah, well, here's what they don't know. Roberto didn't just steal from the business. He was embezzling from Aunt Teresa's inheritance. His own wife. Martina's voice hardened. She got cancer 2 years later. Couldn't afford the experimental treatment that might have saved her. Died believing she'd never had the money for it. Jesus, I whispered. I didn't know. Nobody did. Roberto played the grieving husband perfectly. Meanwhile, I found the offshore accounts. Too late to help Teresa, but in time to make him pay. She met my eyes. The family called me heartless, but sometimes, Helen, the most loving thing you can do is stop the cycle, make them face consequences. My phone lit up, a text from Claire, another from my Aunt Maria, a voicemail from Dad. They're all saying I'm destroying the family, I said. No, you're just refusing to let them destroy you. Martina pulled out her laptop. Ready to go nuclear? What do you mean? I've reviewed everything. We have enough for civil fraud charges. Criminal too, but let's start with civil. One filing, and everyone will know. Your parents, Dylan, the whole family network they're using against you. Name and shame. My hands started shaking. They'll never forgive me. Good. Martina's voice was steel. Because you should never forgive them. I stared at my reflection in the diner window. The daughter they raised to be reliable. The sister they taught to sacrifice. The woman they thought would cave. Do it, I said. Martina nodded once and began typing. I watched the words appear on screen, each one a nail in the coffin of my old life. Civil complaint for fraud and damages. My phone buzzed again. Mom, please call us. We're family. I finally felt something then. Not grief, not rage, relief. No, I whispered. Not anymore. The flowers arrived at my office on Thursday, a massive bouquet of lilies, my favorite. The card read, "Let's talk. I miss my sister." Dylan. I dropped them in the break room trash. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Did you get my peace offering? Dylan's text read, "Come on, sis. We can fix this." I was typing, "Leave me alone," when Sandra appeared at my desk. Your brother's here again. This time, Dylan had brought reinforcements. Dad waited in the lobby too, both of them blocking the exit. Perfect ambush timing during lunch hour. 2 minutes, I said before they could speak. Then I'm calling security. The lawsuit is a mistake, Dad started. You're not thinking clearly. Actually, I'm thinking clearly for the first time in years. Dylan stepped closer, voice low and urgent. Look, I know I messed up. But this legal stuff, it'll ruin everyone. Mom can barely eat. Dad's blood pressure. Don't you dare, I hissed. Don't you dare use their health to manipulate me. Not after what you did. What I did? Dylan's charm cracked slightly. They forged the signatures, not me. I just accepted their help. Time's up. I pulled out my phone. Security or police? Your choice. They left, Dylan's face dark with something I'd never seen before. An hour later, my phone lit up with an unknown number. Helen, this is Ismael, Dylan's former partner. We need to talk. I remembered Ismael, the only person who'd ever walked away from one of Dylan's ventures before it imploded. We met at a coffee shop across town. Dylan's been bragging about you for months, Ismael said, sliding into the booth. About how you'd cave eventually, because you always do. His words. My coffee cup froze halfway to my mouth. What? The house thing wasn't spontaneous. They planned it last summer. Dylan said you were the perfect mark because you're financially responsible and too loyal to press charges. Ismael looked disgusted. I quit when I found out, but you should know they targeted you specifically because they knew you could handle the hit. The coffee turned to acid in my stomach. Why are you telling me this? Because Dylan called yesterday trying to recruit me again. Said once you calm down, the lawsuit will disappear and everything can restart. He pulled out his phone. I recorded the call. Dylan's voice filled the quiet corner. Helen will fold. She always does. Dad's working on her guilt complex, and Mom's doing the whole crying thing. 2 weeks max, then we're back in business. I listened to my brother dissect my psychological weaknesses like he was discussing market strategy. When it ended, my hands were steady. Thank you, I said quietly. Will you testify? Already sent the recording to your lawyer. That night, Martina came over with takeout and wine. We sat on my kitchen floor, sharing spring rolls and war stories. The worst part? Martina said, refilling our glasses. After I won the lawsuit against Roberto, my mother didn't speak to me for 2 years, said I'd chosen money over blood. What changed? She found his second family in Arizona, 3 kids he'd been supporting while claiming poverty to her. Martina's laugh was bitter. Suddenly my betrayal made sense, but she never apologized for doubting me. Did you forgive her? No, but I understood her better. She studied me over her wine glass. You know they'll never understand what they did to you, right? In their minds, you're the villain here. I know. I picked at the label on my bottle. Dylan called me a mark, his own sister. Family makes the best victims, Martina said softly. We're already trained to trust them. My phone buzzed, a group text from Aunt Teresa. Family meeting tomorrow. Everyone needs to talk sense into Helen before she destroys us all. They're mobilizing the troops, I said, showing Martina. Good. Let them. She pulled out her laptop. Because tomorrow we file the civil suit. Once it's public record, let's see how the family meeting goes. They'll hate me? Maybe, but you'll be free. She started typing. Choose, Helen, their love or your life. You can't have both. I thought about Dylan's recorded voice, so casual about manipulating me. About Dad in my office, weaponizing guilt. About Mom's tears, right on cue. Their love, I said slowly, comes with too high a price. Martina nodded and hit send. Somewhere in the city, court computers processed our filing. By morning, the family would know everything. My phone lit up one last time, Claire checking in. You okay? I looked around my kitchen, at the life I'd built, at the cousin who'd become my strongest ally, at the truth finally breaking free. No, I texted back, but I will be. The family meeting exploded exactly as expected. Aunt Teresa's house buzzed with angry voices before I even reached the door. I walked in with Martina beside me, Claire waiting in the car as backup. How could you? Aunt Maria rushed at me, waving her phone. The lawsuit is all over Facebook. Everyone can see it. That's the point, I said calmly. The living room was packed. Aunts, uncles, cousins, all staring at me like I'd grown a second head. Mom sat in the corner, dabbing her eyes theatrically. Dad stood by the window, arms crossed. No Dylan. This is not how we handle family matters, Uncle Roberto declared. The irony of him saying this to Martina made me want to laugh. Fraud isn't a family matter, Martina cut in. It's a crime. Nobody asked you, traitor, Aunt Maria snapped. Actually, I asked her, I said, because she's the only one here who understands boundaries. Boundaries? Mom's voice cracked perfectly. We're your parents, Helen. We changed your diapers, paid for your education, and stole my house. Borrowed, Dad exploded. We borrowed it for your brother's future. My future, I corrected. You stole my future. You're being dramatic, Uncle Roberto said. This can all be fixed if I just what? Roll over? Cave in? Let them get away with it? I pulled out my phone. Like Dylan said I would? I played Ismael's recording. The room fell silent as Dylan's voice filled the space, calculating and cold, describing exactly how to manipulate me. When it finished, Mom had stopped fake crying. She was staring at the phone in genuine shock. He planned this? She whispered. Don't act surprised, Martina said. You helped him do it. We were trying to help him, Dad insisted, but his voice wavered. No, I said quietly. You were using me, again, like always. My phone buzzed, a text from Claire outside. 911, someone's messing with your car. Excuse me, I said pleasantly. I need to call the police. We found Barry, Dylan's tech friend, crouched by my car with a laptop. Claire had already recorded everything. The police arrived in minutes. He was trying to hack my car's computer system, I told the officer. After my brother's recorded threats, I consider this attempted assault. Barry cracked immediately. Dylan paid me to scare you. Just mess with your car's electronics a bit. He said it was a family joke. They arrested him on the spot. When we returned inside, the family meeting had shifted tone. This has gone too far, Aunt Teresa said. Helen, you need to drop the charges before... Before what? Martina challenged. Before the truth comes out? Too late. My phone dinged with an email notification. Speaking of truth, I said, the property records just went public. Want to see what Dylan did with all that stolen money? I projected the documents onto the wall using Teresa's smart TV. bank statements, property transfers, failed investments, the complete paper trail of destruction. He lost everything, Dad whispered, scanning the numbers. All of it. Not everything, I corrected. Just my house, your pension, Mom's inheritance. But hey, family first, right? The doorbell rang. 2 police officers entered, not for Barry this time. We're investigating reports of identity theft and financial fraud, one said. We need to speak with Maria and Ricardo. Mom started crying again, real tears this time. Dad's face went gray. Helen, he pleaded, please, we're your parents. Yes, I said softly. You are, and actions have consequences. They left with the officers. The remaining family members stared at me like I was a stranger. Maybe I was. Back home, I found my mailbox destroyed. A note was taped to my door. Blood doesn't betray. Dylan's handwriting, Cal, Martina confirmed, studying it. More evidence. Add it to the pile. I was surprised by how calm I felt. You know what's funny? They keep saying blood doesn't betray, but that's exactly what they did. They betrayed me because they thought blood would protect them from consequences. Want me to stay over? Martina asked. No, I'm done hiding. I took down the note carefully, using a tissue to preserve fingerprints. Let him try something else. Every threat, every attack, every manipulation, it all just proves I'm right. My phone buzzed with messages from the family. You've gone too far. This isn't you. Think about what you're doing. I thought about Dylan's recorded voice, about Barry at my car, about the destroyed mailbox. Actually, I texted back to the group, this is exactly who I am. You just never bothered to notice. Then I turned off my phone and went inside my house, what was left of it, and finally, truly, felt at peace. The courthouse hallway felt colder than it should for May. I sat on a hard wooden bench, Martina on one side, Claire on the other, watching my parents whisper with their court-appointed lawyer. Ready? Martina asked. Born ready, I replied, though my hands shook slightly. The courtroom filled quickly. News of the case had spread through the local community. Family fraud made for juicy gossip. I spotted several familiar faces, including Carl the accountant, looking nervous in the back row. All rise. My parents pleaded guilty to reduced charges, their lawyer having negotiated a deal. The judge, a stern-faced woman in her 60s, reviewed the paperwork with narrowed eyes. Before I accept this plea, she said, I want to hear from the victim. I walked to the podium, my heels clicking against marble. Mom wouldn't look at me. Dad stared straight ahead. Ms. Helen, the judge said gently, would you like to make a statement? Yes, Your Honor. I unfolded my prepared notes, then set them aside. Actually, I'd like to speak from the heart. The room fell silent. Every time I helped my family, it was a choice. When Dylan needed rent money, when Mom needed dental work, when Dad's car broke down, I chose to help. I worked extra shifts, took side jobs, postponed my own dreams, because that's what family does, right? I turned to face my parents directly. But you took away my choice. You didn't ask for help. You stole it. You forged my signature, redirected my mail, and watched me work myself to exhaustion paying a mortgage that wasn't even going to my house anymore. Mom started crying. Dad's jaw clenched. The worst part? You planned it. You targeted me because you knew I was responsible, because you thought I'd cave when you cried family loyalty. You weaponized my love against me. The judge leaned forward. And how has this affected you? I lost my house. My credit is ruined. But worse than that, I lost my family. Not because I'm pressing charges, but because I finally see them clearly. Every time they say, blood doesn't betray, I remember how easily they betrayed mine. The back doors opened. Dylan strode in, perfectly timed for maximum drama. The bailiff moved to stop him, but the judge waved him through. Perfect timing, she said dryly. Mr. Dillon, since you're here, perhaps you'd like to address the court? Dylan straightened his tie, flashing his practiced smile. Your Honor, this is all a misunderstanding. My sister has been emotionally abusing me for years, I cut in, quoting his recorded words. I'm the victim here. She's always been controlling, always held money over my head. Dylan's smile faltered. I never... Play the tape, Martina called out. She connected her phone to the court's audio system, and Dylan's voice filled the room. Helen's a control freak, always has been. She'll cave because she needs to feel superior. Classic emotional abuse, really. We're the victims here. The recording continued, detailing every manipulation tactic, every planned guilt trip. When it ended, the silence was deafening. Well, the judge said, that certainly adds context. She turned to my parents. Do you still maintain you were acting in your family's best interest? Dad stood up slowly. We believed. We were wrong, Mom whispered. We were so wrong. Damn right you were, Dylan snapped. You promised this would work. You said she'd back down. Now everything's ruined because you couldn't even forge a signature properly. The judge's gavel cracked like thunder. Mr. Dillon, I suggest you exercise your right to remain silent. Bailiff, please ensure he stays for questioning. She turned back to my parents. I accept your guilty plea. Sentencing will include full restitution, community service, and mandatory financial counseling. She looked at me. Ms. Helen, do you accept these terms? Yes, Your Honor. Very well. She shuffled her papers. Oh, and one more thing. The property in question, your house, was sold at auction yesterday. I'm sorry. The room spun slightly. Claire grabbed my arm. It's gone? I whispered. The bank moved quickly, the judge said sympathetically, but the restitution order stands. They'll have to repay you the full value. I walked out of the courtroom on shaking legs. Behind me, I heard Dylan arguing with the bailiff, Mom crying, Dad calling my name. Helen, please. I kept walking. Outside, the May sun felt warmer now. Martina checked her phone and smiled. What? I asked. Just got a text from my contact at the auction house, she said. Want to know who bought your house? Does it matter? Her smile widened. Oh, yes, because phase 2 of our plan just kicked in perfectly. For the first time in months, I felt something like hope. Congratulations, Martina said, sliding a key across the cafe table. You're looking at the new owner of 1542 Maple Street. I stared at the familiar brass key. How? Remember my private investment fund? I bought your house at auction through a shell company. The bank was eager to offload it quickly. She grinned, and now I'm selling it back to you at cost. I can't afford. Yes, you can. The settlement money plus your savings is exactly enough. I made sure of that. Before I could respond, Martina's phone buzzed. Oh, this is good. The FBI just opened an investigation into Dylan's finances. Seems your brother's been busy with wire fraud and tax evasion. How did they? Carl Rodriguez finally grew a spine. He's cooperating with federal investigators. She showed me the email. Turns out your family drama was just the tip of the iceberg. My phone lit up with a news alert. Local entrepreneur under investigation for multiple fraud schemes. Dylan's smiling headshot stared back at me. It gets better, Martina said. Watch this. She played a video on her phone, security footage from Dylan's office. He was yelling at someone off screen. Mom's a useful idiot. She actually thought I'd pay everyone back, like I care about Dad's pension or Helen's stupid house. They were all just stepping stones. The timestamp showed it was from yesterday. How did you get this? Ismail had access to the security system. He's been collecting evidence for months. Martina's smile was razor sharp. I sent a copy to your mother this morning. My hands trembled. That'll destroy her. No, that'll free her, just like the truth freed you. We drove to my house again, that afternoon. The front door had been kicked in, walls marked with angry graffiti. Dylan's last tantrum. We'll fix it, Claire said. already making calls to contractors. Make it better than before. Martina walked the perimeter, taking photos for the insurance claim. Silver lining, the damage adds another charge to Dylan's growing list. My phone buzzed with an unknown number. Mom's voice was barely recognizable. I saw the video, she whispered. All this time, we sacrificed everything for him, and he... Don't, I cut her off. Don't call me for comfort. Not anymore. Helen, please. I'm your mother. And I'm your daughter, the one you betrayed. Remember? Silence stretched between us. Decades of manipulation finally laid bare. I'm sorry, she said finally. I know it's not enough, but you're right. It's not. I ended the call. Claire appeared with paint samples. Ready to reclaim your space? More than ready. We spent the afternoon planning renovations, new security system, reinforced doors, fresh paint throughout, erasing every trace of betrayal. One more surprise, Martina said, as sunset painted the walls gold. She pulled out her laptop. Remember how Dylan always bragged about his business contacts? His network? She pulled up a spreadsheet. This is everyone he's scammed in the last 5 years. Investors, partners, suppliers. They're all filing charges. How many? 27 so far. The DA's building a RICO case. My phone buzzed again. Dad this time. I let it go to voicemail. You know what's funny? I said, watching the screen fade to black. They always said I was the strong one, the reliable one. They meant it as an excuse to use me. And now? Claire asked. Now it's a warning, because they never thought I'd be strong enough to fight back. Martina's phone chimed. Speaking of fighting back, Dylan just got arrested trying to board a flight to Mexico. Want to guess what he had with him? Mom's jewelry, Dad's emergency cash, both, plus documents showing he was planning this exit strategy for months. She showed me the police report. He really was going to leave them all holding the bag. I walked through my damaged house, touching familiar walls. Each room held memories, Sunday dinners, holiday gatherings, family secrets, all tainted now but not destroyed. You know what? I said, facing my friends. Let's gut it. Complete renovation, new floors, new walls, new memories. Phoenix rising now, Claire said softly. No, I corrected her. Phoenix burning. Sometimes you have to destroy everything to build something true. Outside, the sun set on my old life. Inside, we planned my new one, brick by brick, truth by truth, standing in the ashes of blind loyalty. My phone buzzed one last time, the family group chat exploding with Dylan's arrest news. I left it on red. Some fires need to burn themselves out. The housewarming party was small, exactly how I wanted it. Claire arranged sunflowers in the renovated kitchen while Martina uncorked wine. Ismael helped hang the last photo, me standing proudly in front of my restored home. Did they RSVP? Claire asked softly. All of them, I said, straightening a coaster. Not that I expect anyone to show. I'd sent invitations to every family member, not from obligation, but from strength. Let them choose whether to face what they'd enabled. The doorbell rang at exactly 7. I opened it to find Aunt Teresa standing alone, clutching a small gift bag. The others aren't coming, she said. They're at your parents' house having an alternative gathering. Of course they are. I stepped aside. Come in. She paused in the entryway, taking in the changes. New hardwood floors, fresh paint, every trace of damage erased. It's beautiful, she said quietly. You did good, Helen. Thank you for coming. Thank you for inviting me. She handed me the gift bag. And for showing Roberto's true colors all those years ago. Martina was right about him, about everything. Martina appeared in the doorway, wine glass in hand. Aunt Teresa turned to her. I never apologized, she said, for doubting you, for choosing comfort over truth. No, Martina agreed. You didn't. They looked at each other for a long moment. Then Martina offered her aunt a glass of wine. The evening flowed easier than expected. Claire's husband brought their kids, who chased each other through the house, filling it with honest laughter. Ismael shared stories about Dylan's business failures that somehow weren't painful anymore. My phone stayed quiet. No guilt-tripping texts, no manipulative calls. The silence felt like freedom. Mail came, Claire said, bringing in a stack of envelopes. On top was a thick one from the district attorney's office. I opened it, scanning quickly. Dylan took a plea deal, 5 years plus restitution. Your parents? Ismael asked. Probation, mandatory counseling. They're living with my uncle in Arizona now. I set the letter aside. It's done. Not quite, Martina said, pulling out her laptop. Remember that recording of Dylan calling your mom a useful idiot? It went viral in the local business community. Every investor he ever scammed is coming forward. How many now? 43. She smiled grimly. Your brother's going to be paying restitution until he's 80. The doorbell rang again. This time it was Carl, the accountant, looking nervous but determined. I brought files, he said, holding up a briefcase. Everything I should have reported years ago. The FBI has copies, but you should know the whole truth. We spread the documents across my new dining table. Years of financial manipulation laid bare. Dylan's schemes, my parents' enabling, the slow destruction of family wealth, all hidden under a veneer of success. I'm sorry, Carl said. I should have warned you. Yes, I agreed. You should have. He left the files and walked out. No forgiveness asked or offered. As the evening wound down, Claire's kids fell asleep on my new couch. Ismael helped clean up, while Martina and Aunt Teresa talked quietly in the corner, decades of family history being rewritten with truth. Last piece of news, Martina said as guests prepared to leave. The FBI found Dylan's offshore accounts, the ones he hid from everyone, including Mom and Dad. Want to guess how much was in them? I shook my head. Enough to have saved your house 10 times over. He had the money all along. The information should have hurt. Instead, it felt like the final lock breaking. You know what's funny? I said, walking my guests out. They kept saying I was ruining the family, but you can't ruin something that was already broken. You can only expose the cracks. Aunt Teresa hugged me goodbye. Will you ever forgive them? No, I said honestly, but I'm grateful. Grateful? They showed me who they really are, and who I really am. I looked at my restored home. Sometimes the best family is the one you choose. After everyone left, I sat on my porch swing, the one Claire helped me install last week. The night was quiet, my phone was silent, and my house stood strong. No more guilt, no more manipulation, no more blind loyalty. Just truth, consequences, and peace. I took out my keys, the old set I'd kept as evidence, and the new set Martina had given me. Slowly, deliberately, I dropped the old keys into the trash. Some chains need to be broken, some fires need to burn, some lessons need to scar. But I was home now, really, truly home, and that was enough.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mia Jackson, and I need to share my story because no one should endure what I did. I'm 35 years old, a marketing manager at Reynolds & Co. On the surface, my life seemed perfect. 2 amazing kids, Emma and Lucas, a thriving career, and what I thought was a solid marriage to Michael Thompson. But behind closed doors, there was another force at play, my mother-in-law, Patricia. Honey, I brought some homemade lasagna for the kids. The food you make is far too modern for growing children, Patricia announced, waltzing into my kitchen uninvited for the 3rd time that week. Patricia, I appreciate it, but next time, please call first. Nonsense, I'm family. I don't need an invitation to see my grandbabies. That was her mantra. Every day, Patricia would barge in, critique my cooking, question my parenting, and rearrange my life while Michael buried himself in his investment banking work. The children need a more structured environment, she declared during dinner one night. Emma's hair wasn't even properly braided today. What will the other mothers think? Mom, I'm sure Mia's doing her best, Michael mumbled, his eyes glued to his phone. My best friend Jessica saw right through Patricia's facade. During one of our coffee meetups, she didn't hold back. That woman isn't being helpful. She's taking over your life. You're exaggerating, Jess. She's just involved. Involved? She rearranged your entire kitchen last week. At work, my colleague David noticed my stress. Everything okay, Mia? You seem distracted. Just mother-in-law drama. Yesterday, she told the neighbors she's teaching me how to be a proper mother. Have you talked to Michael about it? Michael? He thinks she's a saint. Watch this. I played a voicemail from earlier that day. Mia, darling, I've scheduled Emma's doctor's appointment. You're clearly too busy with your career to handle these things properly. That evening, I confronted Michael again. Your mother's behavior is out of control. You're being sensitive. Mom's just trying to help. She raised me, and I turned out fine. Really? Is that why you can't make a single decision without calling her first? Don't start, Mia. You know how much she does for us. The next morning, I caught Patricia sifting through my mail. I was just organizing things for you, dear. You've been so disorganized lately. Later that week, at Emma's school play, a parent approached me. Mrs. Thompson, your daughter is so talented. Your mother-in-law told us she's been teaching Emma piano. Excuse me? I'm the one, whoa. Oh, and she mentioned you're struggling with work-life balance. If you ever need help, we're here for you. That's when it hit me. Patricia wasn't just overstepping, she was systematically erasing me from my own family, but her boldest move was yet to come. One morning, as I pulled into Berkeley Elementary's parking lot, Emma's innocent question stopped me cold. Mommy, why aren't we going to school today? This is your school, sweetie. But Grandma Pat said we're going to Winchester Prep now. She took us there yesterday to see our new classrooms. My hands shook as I called the school. Mrs. Jackson Thompson, yes, we received the transfer papers last week. Your mother-in-law submitted all the documentation. I never authorized any transfer. I'm their mother. Well, according to our records, Patricia Thompson is listed as the mother and primary guardian. I nearly crashed my car racing to Winchester Prep. When I arrived, the secretary confirmed my worst fear. Yes, Mrs. Thompson enrolled them. She had all the proper documents, birth certificates, social security cards, everything. Those documents were forged. Furious, I confronted Patricia. Mia, dear, let's not make a scene. This is for the best. Berkeley's standards were lacking, just like your parenting. I called Michael, expecting support. Instead, his indifference stunned me. Mom said she talked to you about it. The tuition's already paid for the year. Talk to me? She forged documents, Michael. She listed herself as their mother. I'm sure it's just a misunderstanding. Mom knows what's best. That night, I found a stack of open letters in Patricia's purse. College fund statements, medical records, even my personal bank statements, each marked with her sticky notes. Those are family documents, she said when I confronted her. Someone needs to keep track since you're so busy with your career. Later that evening, Michael and I had the fight of our lives. Your mother forged legal documents, she's been opening my mail, and she's telling people she's their mother. She's just protective, Mia. Maybe if you were home more. Don't you dare. I work normal hours while you're never home before 9 p.m. Well, at least Mom makes sure the kids are taken care of. I stared at him, finally seeing the truth. You knew. You knew she was going to transfer them. His silence said it all. They could have waited another year, he mumbled. But Mom said Winchester's waiting list is getting longer. That was the moment I realized I wasn't just fighting a controlling mother-in-law. I was fighting an entire system she carefully constructed to push me out of my own family, but Patricia had no idea who she was messing with. The next morning, I called in sick and met with Karen Mitchell, a family lawyer Jessica had recommended. After hearing my story, Karen's eyes narrowed with fierce determination. This isn't just overstepping, it's identity theft and fraud. We need to document everything. I started a detailed log of every incident. My phone became my weapon, recording Patricia's surprise visits and snide comments. Really, Mia? Store-bought cookies for Lucas's class? In my day, mothers actually cared about nutrition. Click. Another recording added to my evidence file. David from work, a tech wizard, uncovered something alarming. Your mother-in-law's been trying to access your work email. Look at these IP addresses. Jessica, always digging deeper, brought another revelation during our weekly coffee meetup. Patricia tried this same thing with Michael's ex-girlfriend 6 years ago. I found her on Facebook. She's willing to testify. Dr. Reynolds, my therapist, helped me see the bigger picture. You're not crazy, Mia. This is systematic emotional abuse. One evening, my nanny Cam caught Patricia rifling through my bedroom drawers. These investment papers need to go to Michael's account. Mia's too irresponsible. I pretended nothing was wrong. But my evidence pile grew: forged school documents, opened mail, attempts to access my bank account, and recordings of her lies to neighbors. She even showed up at my kids' doctor appointments, claiming to be their mother. Then came the bombshell. Mia, your mother-in-law's been emailing Michael's board members, pretending to be him, David revealed. She's making investment decisions that could tank his whole division. Why didn't anyone verify these emails? Because they're coming from his personal account, the one she apparently has access to. I watched silently as Patricia dug her own grave. She started moving bigger pieces on her chessboard, unaware that I saw every move. The children should spend weekends at my house, she announced at dinner. After all, Mia's always working. Click. I've adjusted Michael's portfolio. He doesn't understand money like I do, she told her friend over my kitchen phone. Click. Karen's voice was steady as she reviewed the mountain of evidence. Mia, we've got enough to go after her for fraud, identity theft, and financial manipulation. But I wasn't done. I needed more. Mrs. Thompson's been day trading with company funds, David discovered. She's lost nearly $500,000 of Michael's clients' money. A private investigator uncovered Patricia's past. 3 fraud cases settled out of court and 2 restraining orders from previous daughters-in-law. The final blow came during Emma's parent-teacher conference. Patricia, smug as ever, slipped up. Oh, I'm their mother. Mia's just. Well, technically, she gave birth to them, but I'm raising them properly. The teacher, already briefed by me, recorded everything. That night, I stared at my wall of evidence: recordings, documents, testimonies, financial records, 6 months of meticulous planning. Patricia thought she was destroying me, but instead, she handed me everything I needed to take her down. I hovered over Michael's contact on my phone. Tomorrow, everything would change, not just for Patricia, but for everyone who enabled her. Mommy. Emma stood in the doorway, her voice small. Are we going back to our old school soon? I pulled her into a tight hug. Yes, baby. Everything's going back to how it should be. Let Patricia play her games. I was done being the victim. Tomorrow, she'd learn exactly who she was dealing with. Without an appointment, I marched into Michael's office. His secretary barely blinked, waving me through. We need to talk. Now. I dropped a thick folder onto his desk. Mia, I'm in the middle of. Your mother lost $500,000 of your client's money. His face went pale as I laid out the evidence: unauthorized trades, forged signatures, email impersonation. That's impossible. Mom would. Oh, there's more, much more. One by one, I played the recordings: her confessions to fraud, her manipulation of his accounts, her relentless campaign to erase me. The school transfer was just the tip of the iceberg, Michael. While you? He was defending her, while she was systematically destroying his career. As his phone started buzzing with frantic calls from board members demanding explanations and clients threatening lawsuits, Michael stammered, I can fix this. Fix it? I repeated coldly. Your mother's being investigated for fraud right now. Not just here. Her past cases are being reopened. That's when Patricia burst in, as poised as ever. Michael, darling, don't listen to her lies. I pressed play on the latest recording, her voice cutting through the tension as she boasted about manipulating stocks under Michael's name. Patricia's perfectly crafted facade cracked. I was protecting our family, she cried. Mia's ruining everything. By family, you mean the one you tried to steal from me? I shot back. I turned to Michael, my voice steady. But my words hit hard. Choose now, Michael. Your mother's crimes or your children's future. His eyes flickered with uncertainty. But in the end, he chose his career. Within hours, Patricia was banned from the building, and by evening, she was facing multiple fraud charges, not from me, but from Michael's own firm. Mia, please, Michael begged. Later, we can work this out. Like we worked out our children's school transfer or your mother stealing my identity. The aftermath was swift and brutal. Patricia's social circle disintegrated as victims from her past came forward. Her country club membership was revoked. Her reputation, carefully built over the years, was obliterated. Michael, on the other hand, lost everything: his job, his clients, his prestigious career. It all came crashing down. The kids need their father, Michael said, trying one last time. They need a father who protects them, I countered. Not one who helps abuse their mother. I got the kids back in their old school. The principal personally apologized. The mothers who had believed Patricia's lies, they got front row seats to her downfall on local news. Emma and Lucas flourished once Patricia's influence was gone. As for me, I was promoted to director of marketing. Turns out, when you're not constantly sabotaged, your career can really take off. Last I heard, Patricia was facing crippling fines and legal fees. Her fancy house was sold off, and Michael had relocated to another state, his reputation in tatters. Mom? Emma asked one morning over breakfast. Are you happy now? Looking at my children's peaceful faces, my thriving career, and our drama-free life, I smiled. Happier than ever, baby. But then my phone buzzed. A text from Michael. Can we try again, for the kids? I didn't even hesitate. I blocked his number. Some might call me cruel for not forgiving him. I call it protecting my peace. Sometimes the only way to deal with toxic people is to let them face the consequences of their own actions. Let them cry, let them beg, let them feel sorry. But don't let them back in. So what would you have done? If you discovered your mother-in-law was gaslighting your entire social circle while systematically erasing you from your children's lives, would you have exposed her right away, or would you have gathered evidence like I did? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hey there, I'm Charlotte, 29 years old and a marketing exec with big dreams. I've got a supportive husband, Mark, who just walked into the room with that familiar concerned look. Em, are you sure you've got everything? He asks, brows furrowed. I think so, but you know me. I'll probably realize I forgot something the moment I step on the plane. Mark chuckles and wraps his arms around me, pulling me close. I'm going to miss you, you know. It's only 2 weeks, I say, trying to sound more confident than I feel. This training in New York is a huge opportunity, but leaving Mark alone with his mom nearby, that's what really worries me. Just then, my phone buzzes. It's a text from my best friend, Lisa. Coffee before you leave. Babe, I'm going to grab coffee with Lisa before I go. That okay? I ask. Mark nods. Of course. Tell her I said hi. An hour later, I'm sitting across from Lisa at our favorite cafe, absently stirring my latte. She's eyeing me with that knowing look. Okay, spill. What's got you looking so stressed? This training is amazing for your career. I sigh, slumping into my seat. It's not the training, it's Evelyn. Lisa's eyebrows shoot up. Ah, the mother-in-law from hell. What's she done now? Nothing yet. But you know how she is. I'm worried she'll use this time to get into Mark's head. Last week, he made this snide comment about how a real wife would be home cooking dinner instead of working late. Lisa rolls her eyes. Still stuck in the 1950s, huh? Tell me about it. And Mark, he doesn't always see how manipulative she can be. He loves her. It's hard for him. Hey, Lisa leans forward, her voice firm. Mark loves you. He's not going to let his mom come between you two. I hope you're right, I say, forcing a smile. But Evelyn's loaded, and she's not shy about using that to get her way. I'm worried she'll try to convince Mark I'm not good enough for him while I'm gone. Lisa reaches across the table, squeezing my hand. Here's the plan. I'll keep an eye on things while you're away. If Evelyn pulls any of her usual stunts, I'll let you know. You do that. I ask, my voice cracking. That's what besties are for, she grins. Now enough about the wicked witch of the suburbs. You're going to knock their socks off in New York, right? 3 days later, I'm in my hotel room, feeling on top of the world. The training's been a success, and I've just finished a call with Mark. Everything seems perfect. I'm about to hop in the shower when my phone rings. It's Lisa. Hey, Liz, miss me already? I joke. Charlotte, we need to talk. It's about Mark and Evelyn. The lightness in my voice vanishes. What happened? I stopped by your place to drop off some mail and overheard them arguing. It was bad, Em, really bad. My heart starts pounding. Tell me everything. Evelyn caught Mark doing laundry and lost it. She was screaming about how he's becoming a housewife and threatening to cut him out of her will if he doesn't man up. Mark was trying to calm her down, but my hands are shaking. But what? He wasn't standing up to her. He kept saying things like, Mom, you don't understand, and it's not what you think. It was like he was ashamed of helping around the house. I feel my stomach drop. Did Mark mention any of this when I called earlier? No, he saw me as I was leaving and looked freaked out. He even asked me not to tell you. Anger floods through me. He what? Oh, hell no. I'm coming home. Are you sure? What about the training? Screw the training. I need to deal with this. By the time I land, I'm a mix of hurt, anger, and determination. Memories of Evelyn's jabs echo in my mind. A career woman? How modern. Mark does the cooking. Well, I suppose someone has too. And my least favorite. When are you giving me grandchildren? Or is your job more important? I take a deep breath and open the front door. Mark. I call out. He appears in the hallway, surprised. What are you doing home? We need to talk, I say, dropping my bags. Mark's face falls. Lisa told you, didn't she? Yeah, because apparently my husband wasn't going to. He runs a hand through his hair. Look, it wasn't a big deal. Mom just overreacted a bit. Overreacted? I snap. She threatened to disinherit you for doing laundry. How is that not a big deal? You know how she is, he mumbles, avoiding my eyes. She's just old-fashioned. She didn't mean anything by it. I stare at him in disbelief. Are you seriously defending her right now? After everything she said? Mark sighs. Please, can we not do this? You just got home. I missed you. No, I cut him off, my voice sharp. We're doing this now. I want to know exactly what happened, and I want to know why you tried to hide it from me. Mark starts pacing, running a hand through his hair. I didn't hide anything. I just didn't want to worry you while you were away. I snap. No, you were embarrassed. Embarrassed that your mom caught you acting like a decent husband. Mark flinches. That's not fair. You know what's not fair? I glare at him. Coming home to find out my husband can't stand up to his mother. That he'd rather lie to me than confront her toxic behavior. I didn't lie, he protests. Omission is lying, Mark. God, I can't believe this. Do you agree with her? Do you think it's wrong for you to help around the house? Of course not. His voice is desperate now. I don't know how to handle her sometimes. She's my mom, I feel tears prick at my eyes. And I'm your wife. Or did you forget that while I was gone? The hurt in his eyes almost makes me back down. Almost. Charlotte, please. I love you. You know that. If you love me, I say firmly, he'll tell me everything. Right now. Then we're going to figure out how to deal with your mother, once and for all. The next morning, I make a call. Hey, Jack. I need your help. It's about Evelyn. Oh, he says. What happened? I fill him in, sparing no detail. There's a long pause before he speaks. I've never liked that woman. What do you need me to do? Can you dig into her past? I need to know if this is a pattern. Consider it done. I'll call you when I find something. Later that night, I'm going through Mark's email, looking for clues when I stumble across a message from 2 years ago, a job rejection. My heart sinks. Mark? I confront him. Why didn't he tell me about the job in San Francisco? His face pales. How did you? He stammers. It wasn't important. Not important. It was your dream job, Mark. What happened? He sighs, shoulders slumping. Mom, she said she needed me here, that she was getting older and couldn't manage alone. I feel sick, and you believed her? Mark, she goes on luxury cruises twice a year. I know, he mutters. It sounds stupid now, but at the time. Before I can respond, my phone buzzes. It's Jack. You're not going to believe this, he says. I found a pattern, a string of coincidences. Every big opportunity that fell through for Mark, every promotion you missed. Evelyn's fingerprints are all over it. She's been pulling strings for years. I'm reeling when the doorbell rings. Of course it's Evelyn. She sweeps into the kitchen, a Tupperware in hand. Mark, darling, I brought you some of that pot roast you love. I watch from the hallway as she criticizes everything. Really, Mark, the state of this kitchen? If only you had a wife who cared more about her home than her career. Mom, please, Mark says, exasperated. Charlotte works hard. Of course, dear, she says with a sickly sweet smile. But is that really what's best for you? For your future family? I step into the kitchen. Hello, Evelyn. Funny, I don't recall inviting you over. Evelyn freezes, then forces a smile. Charlotte, I didn't realize you were home. Don't you have some important meeting to run off to? Actually, I've been doing some research. About you. Mark looks confused. What's going on? I take a deep breath. Your mother has been manipulating us, Mark. That job in San Francisco. She sabotaged it. And remember when I got passed over for that promotion? Turns out Evelyn had lunch with my boss the week before. Evelyn's face turns crimson. How dare you accuse me? She turns to Mark. Are you going to let her talk to me like this? Mark looks between us, conflicted. Mom, is this true? Of course not. Evelyn's voice shakes. I've only ever wanted what's best for you. I laugh bitterly. Best for us or best for you? You've been using your money and influence to control us. Well, it stops now. Evelyn's eyes well with tears. Sweetheart, you don't believe these lies, do you? After everything I've done for you. Mark takes a deep breath. Mom, I think you should leave. Evelyn gasps. Mark, please. Just go, he says quietly. We'll talk later. As she storms out, slamming the door, I feel a mix of relief and apprehension. Mark turns to me, guilt in his eyes. I'm so sorry, I had no idea. I take his hand. I know, but now we do. And we're going to face this together, right? He nods, squeezing my hand. Together. The next morning, I find Mark in the kitchen, staring into his coffee. I sit across from him. We need to talk, I say. He looks up, tired but determined. I know. I reach for his hand. Mark, I love you. But I can't keep living like this, I said, my voice trembling with frustration. Your mother's behavior is toxic, Mark. It's destroying us. He winces, his eyes dropping to the floor. I know it's bad, but... No buts, I interrupted firmly. It's time to make a choice. Either you set clear boundaries with your mother, or, I hesitated, the words heavy on my tongue, or our marriage is over. His head snapped up, eyes wide with shock. Charlotte, you can't mean that. I do, I whispered. I'm sorry, but I do. We can't build a life together if your mother is always there, pulling the strings. Mark was silent for a long moment, his jaw clenched. Finally, he exhaled shakily. You're right. I've been a coward. But it ends now. Relief flitted through me, my shoulders relaxing for the first time in days. So what do? We confront her, he said, resolute. That evening, we invited Evelyn over for dinner. The tension was palpable as we set the table. Mark gave my hand a reassuring squeeze when the doorbell rang. He opened the door with a formal, "Mother." Evelyn breezed in, air kissing his cheek. Darling. Her eyes barely flicked to me. Charlotte. Dinner was as tense as expected. Evelyn's usual backhanded compliments filled the air, each one cutting a little deeper than the last. Finally, Mark cleared his throat, setting down his fork with a clink. Mother, we need to talk. Evelyn raised an eyebrow. Oh, what about, dear? Mark took a deep breath. Your behavior. It's unacceptable. Her smile froze. I beg your pardon. The way you treat Charlotte. The way you try to control our lives. It has to stop. Evelyn laughed, the sound harsh. Control your lives. Don't be ridiculous. I leaned forward, my voice steady. We know what you've done. The job offers you sabotaged. The promotions you interfered with. Evelyn's face turned pale, then flushed red with anger. How dare you? After everything I've done for you, Mark. Everything I've sacrificed. Mark's voice rose. Sacrificed? You haven't sacrificed anything. You've only ever thought about yourself. Evelyn stood trembling. I won't stand for this. Mark, if you continue with this nonsense, I'll cut you off completely. You'll never see a penny of your inheritance. I couldn't help but laugh, a bitter sound. Both Evelyn and Mark turned to me. Go ahead, I said, my eyes locked on hers. Her lips curled in disdain. What? Cut him off, I repeated, calm but firm. We don't need your money. I've been offered an executive position. We'll be just fine without your generosity. Evelyn's eyes narrowed into slits. You ungrateful little. That's enough, Mark interrupted, his voice steel. Mother, this is your last chance. If you want to be part of our lives, you need to respect our choices, our marriage. If you can't do that, then we're done. Evelyn looked between us, sputtering. You can't, you wouldn't. We would, I said firmly. And just so you know, I have evidence of everything you've done. Every interference, every manipulation. I hate for that to become public knowledge. For a moment, I thought she might explode. Instead, she grabbed her purse and stormed towards the door. You'll regret this, she hissed before slamming it behind her. Mark and I stood in stunned silence. Then he turned to me, his eyes filled with a mix of pride and remorse. I can't believe we just did that. I'm so proud of you, and so sorry. For everything. From now on, you and me, we're the priority. 6 months later, life looks completely different. I'm thriving in my new executive role, and Mark has taken on a leadership position at his school. We've had minimal contact with Evelyn. She's made a few half-hearted attempts to reconcile, but it's clear she hasn't really changed. If you were in Charlotte's shoes, would you have given Evelyn a second chance? Or was cutting her off completely the right move? How far should we go to maintain family relationships when they become toxic? Hi everyone, I'm Anna Liam, and today I want to share how I dealt with toxic people in my life. Specifically, how my mother-in-law's manipulative tactics nearly destroyed my marriage, until karma stepped in. 3 years ago, I thought I had everything: a thriving career as a marketing executive, a sleek downtown Seattle apartment, and what I believed was the perfect marriage to James. Our home was my sanctuary, especially my home office, where I could work uninterrupted. Well, almost uninterrupted. Anna, darling, shouldn't you be cooking dinner instead of staring at that screen all day? Patricia, my mother-in-law, chimed in during one of her mandatory weekly family dinners. I forced a calm smile. Actually, Patricia, I just closed a major account that will boost our company's revenue by 30%. In my day, she said with a sickly sweet tone, women prioritize family over career ambitions. Don't you think, James? James, as usual, stared at his plate. Mom, Anna's work is important to her. She's really good at it. Of course, dear. I just worry about your future. When will I get grandchildren if she's always working? These dinners became predictable torture sessions, with Patricia criticizing everything, from my cooking to my work hours, all wrapped in that sugary facade. Then came James's big promotion at his software company. I was genuinely thrilled for him, until Patricia dropped her bomb. Oh, my precious boy, this calls for a celebration. I'll move in temporarily to help you both adjust to this new phase. I nearly choked. That's really not necessary, Patricia. We can manage. Nonsense. My doctor says my blood pressure is concerning. I feel much better being close to my son during this time. James's face softened with concern. That's when it clicked. Her health crises always aligned with her getting her way. Later that night, I confronted James. Honey, your mother can't move in. This is our space. It's just temporary, Anna. And she hasn't been feeling well. Didn't you see how pale she looked? She looked fine when she was criticizing my career choices. You're being unfair. She's just old school and worried about us. The following week, I overheard Patricia on the phone in the garden. Yes, Margaret, the doctor says I'm fit as a fiddle, but James doesn't need to know that. A mother knows best, and that wife of his needs to learn her place. My hands shook as I recorded her conversation. She'd been manipulating us all along. I wanted to confront her, but something told me to wait. This was just the beginning. A week later, Patricia arrived with more luggage than seemed necessary. James, be careful with those bags. They're my special china, she instructed from the lobby. Mom, I thought this was just for a few weeks during your renovation. Well, dear, one can never be too prepared. Oh, Anna, instead of standing there, could you help with the delicate items? I clenched my teeth. I was in the middle of a client call but had to end it early. Coming, Patricia. The next morning, I walked into my home office, ready to work, only to find Patricia rearranging my furniture. What are you doing in here? Oh, darling, I can't manage those steep stairs with my back condition. The doctor said I need a ground floor space. This is my office. I have meetings all day. James, sweetie, could you come here for a moment? James appeared, already dressed for work. "What's wrong, Mom?" "The stairs, dear. My back can't handle them." And the doctor was very clear. "Anna, maybe you could temporarily set up in the covered balcony. It's spacious." "Are you serious? I have confidential client meetings." "Don't raise your voice at my son." "Oh my." Patricia clutched her chest, staggering back with dramatic flair. "The stress. I can't breathe." "Mom." James rushed to her side. "Anna, call an ambulance." "No, no ambulance." Patricia gasped, her voice weak. "Just need rest." James helped her to the couch in my office, shooting me a glare. "Anna, please, just for a few weeks." That evening, I reluctantly moved my equipment to the balcony. Through the glass doors, I watched Patricia practically waltzing around my office, gleefully rearranging everything. At 2 a.m., I got up for water and heard muffled voices. Peering into the office, I saw Patricia on the phone. "Margaret, you wouldn't believe how well it's working. That little princess actually moved to the balcony." "Yes, the balcony. Can you imagine? Phase 1 is complete. James always caves when I mention my health. Give it another month and she'll be out completely." "Oh, and her client list?" "Found it. Been making some interesting calls. And her laptop. So easy to accidentally spill something on. Soon, she won't even be able to work." I stood frozen, my phone recording every word. The next day, during a crucial video conference, Patricia strolled in. "Oh, I'm so sorry. Was this cable important?" She held up my disconnected Ethernet cord with a saccharine smile. "Patricia, I was in the middle off. Don't take that tone with me. My nerves can't handle hostility." That evening, I discovered my laptop soaked in coffee. "Must have been the cleaning lady," Patricia said with a smug smile. From that moment, I locked my equipment and switched to a mobile hotspot. But watching her play the perfect mother while systematically dismantling my career made my blood boil. I needed a different approach. One evening, I overheard Patricia on the phone in my office. "Hello, this is Anna Liam calling to cancel all my upcoming contracts." My stomach dropped. Patricia was impersonating me. Later that night, I watched the footage from the hidden camera I'd installed. Yes, terminate everything. Family comes first, you understand. As I investigated further, I stumbled upon an old wedding photo. James with another woman. A little digging led me to Rebecca, his ex-wife. "I never thought I'd hear from James's new wife," Rebecca said when we met at a secluded coffee shop. "Ex-wife, soon enough," I replied. "If Patricia has her way." Rebecca laughed bitterly. "Let me guess. Health scares, mysterious accidents, and temporary moves that aren't so temporary." "Yes, and she's sabotaging my career. She called my boss, sabotaged my presentations, even tried to convince James I was cheating." "Did she ever open accounts in your name? Check your credit report." That night, I did. 5 new credit cards, 2 personal loans, all in the last month. My hands trembled as I printed the evidence. Suddenly, ink exploded everywhere. "Oh, Anna," Patricia cooed, appearing in the doorway. "Your important papers were here too. Such a shame." "Don't worry, I have copies." Her smile flickered when I said, "So do I." Later, I overheard her whispering to James, "I'm worried about Anna. She's so unstable. Always taking pictures, staying up late. Maybe work is too much for her." The next day, James confronted me. "Anna, maybe you should take a break. Mom's worried about your mental health." "Is that what she thinks?" I asked, raising an eyebrow. Interesting timing, since her apartment renovation was supposed to be done weeks ago. "She's just concerned. Maybe if you were more understanding, like Rebecca." His face went pale as I smiled coldly. "Rebecca? Funny you mention her. Did you know your mother drove her away?" "History repeats itself, James. But I'm not Rebecca." I laid out the evidence: fraud, identity theft, sabotage. Patricia thought she was destroying me quietly, but she didn't realize I was building a case to take her down. The next morning, my phone rang. "Miss Liam, congratulations on landing the Thompson account. The VP position in our New York office is yours if you want it." Perfect timing. That same morning, I anonymously submitted all my evidence to the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit and the state's Insurance Fraud Division. At dinner, I delivered the final blow. "Patricia, I'm moving to New York for a promotion. James can stay here with you, since you need him so much." "So much running away," Patricia sneered. her voice dripping with venom. "I always told James you'd abandon him for your career." James stood between us, bewildered. "Anna, we can talk about this." I held my ground. "There's nothing left to discuss. I'm leaving next week. You have until then to decide, your mother or your marriage." 3 days later, the doorbell rang. 2 agents stood at our doorstep. "Mrs. Patricia Liam, we have questions regarding multiple insurance claims and recent loan applications." Patricia's face twisted in indignation. "This is absurd. I've done nothing wrong." "Then you won't mind explaining these credit cards opened in Anna Lamb's name," one agent said, holding up a stack of documents. Her eyes darted between them. "She did this. Anna opened those accounts. She's framing me." I stepped forward, calm and resolute. "Really? Then why do we have footage of you making those calls, pretending to be me, and documentation of your past insurance fraud cases?" "James," Patricia's voice cracked. Tell them your wife is lying." But James stood frozen, staring at the credit card statements on his phone, the ones I had forwarded to him. His voice was hollow. "Mom, what did you do?" Her composure shattered. "Everything I did was for you. She was going to take you away from me." But her words fell flat. Breaking free, a week later, I was on a plane to New York. James called endlessly, his voicemails piling up. "Anna, please, I had no idea. Mom's being charged with multiple felonies. She took out loans in my name too, cleaned out my savings. Please, call me back." Delete. "I'm sorry I didn't believe you. I should have seen it. Please, give me another chance." Delete. 6 months passed. I had just closed a $50 million deal when my phone buzzed. It was Rebecca. "Patricia, guilty on all charges, 7 years for fraud, identity theft, and financial crimes." Another message followed, this time from James. "The divorce papers are signed. I'm in therapy now, dealing with everything. I know it's too late, but I finally understand what Mom did, to you, to Rebecca, to everyone. I'm so sorry." I glanced around my corner office. Awards adorned the shelves. The city skyline gleamed through the windows. I was exactly where I was meant to be. "You're missing our team dinner, boss." My assistant poked her head in. "Be right there." I hovered over James's message for a moment, then deleted it. Did Marcus pick that amazing Italian place again? You know it. As we walked through the bustling streets of New York, I smiled. Patricia's temporary stay had turned into a permanent one in state prison. Sometimes karma works flawlessly. I never replied to James. Some bridges aren't meant to be rebuilt. Besides, I was too busy living my best, toxic-free life. Have you ever noticed how toxic people always paint themselves as victims when they're caught? How would you have handled Patricia's manipulation? Would you have confronted her immediately or gathered evidence like I did? Some say I was too harsh on James, but when someone repeatedly chooses their toxic parent over their partner, where do you draw the line? Let me know in the comments. Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm a corporate lawyer in Chicago, and 5 years ago, I survived one of the most harrowing experiences a woman could face. No mother should ever have to endure what I did. Back then, I thought I had it all. At 34, I was on the fast track, crushing it at my law firm, and newly promoted to partner. I just married Henry Curry, a charming pediatrician from one of Chicago's wealthiest families. Life seemed picture perfect, especially when I found out I was pregnant with our first child, a little girl we lovingly called G. "You're absolutely glowing, Sarah." My best friend Ella beamed during our weekly coffee date. As a nurse, she was thrilled to share in my journey. "I just wish Henry's mother would back off a little," I sighed. Yesterday, she insisted on redecorating the nursery because apparently, mint green isn't sophisticated enough for a Curry baby. "Has Henry said anything?" Ella asked, concern creeping into her voice. "You know how he is with Eleanor. Mom just wants the best for us, honey." I rolled my eyes. Sometimes I swear I married them both. Eleanor Curry was the queen of Chicago's social elite, all designer suits and charity galas. But beneath her polished exterior lay a knack for manipulation. The subtle digs started early. "Darling, are you sure you want to keep working?" "A Curry wife has never needed to," she'd say sweetly. Or, "Henry dear, Sarah looks so tired. Perhaps we should hire her a stylist." The only ally I had in the Curry family was Henry's sister, Alicia. During a family dinner, she pulled me aside, her voice low. Watch yourself with Mom. She did the same thing to Brian's wife. Julie tried to stand her ground, but in the end, Brian always sided with Mom. It destroyed their marriage. After that, I started noticing it more. Henry would consult Eleanor about everything. My carefully planned birth preferences were quietly revised during our Sunday dinners. Dr. Phillips is one of the best OB-GYNs in Chicago. I protested when Eleanor suggested her friend, Dr. Patricia Wells. Patricia comes from an excellent family, Eleanor purred. She understands our standards. Henry nodded along without hesitation. Even my pregnancy announcement became a battlefield. I posted a simple, heartfelt message on social media, only for Eleanor to corner me. An announcement on Facebook, like some common event. Really, Sarah? She said, her voice dripping with disapproval. Henry stood silent as always. If I'd known what was coming, I might have run. But I kept believing that once the baby arrived, things would settle. I couldn't have been more wrong. You've been so emotional lately, Henry said one night, echoing his mother's concern. Maybe Mom's right about you needing help. I didn't realize their idea of help would lead to my worst nightmare. The night everything changed. 2 weeks before my due date, during dinner, I felt a sharp pain. Henry, something's wrong. I think I'm in labor. I gasped, clutching my stomach. Don't be dramatic, dear. It's probably Braxton Hicks, Eleanor said dismissively. But when my water broke moments later, even she couldn't deny it. At the hospital, I immediately sensed something was off. Instead of Dr. Phillips, a tall woman in pearls entered the room. Sarah, this is Dr. Wells. Mother arranged everything, Henry said, already signing forms. No, I want Dr. Phillips. He knows my birth plan. I protested, but another contraction racked my body. You're being irrational, sweetie. Patricia is more than qualified, Eleanor cooed, her condescension palpable. Through the pain, I heard whispers. She's been increasingly unstable, Eleanor murmured, refusing family traditions, concerning behavior. Stop talking about me like I'm not here. I shouted, but Dr. Wells just scribbled in my chart. Patient exhibiting signs of paranoia and aggression, she muttered under her breath. Henry, please, this isn't what we planned. I begged. Mom says this is best. You're not thinking clearly, he replied, his tone disturbingly calm. Then Alicia burst in. Sarah, Ella's outside. They won't let her in. What? She's my support person. I tried to reach for my phone, but Eleanor intercepted it smoothly. You don't need outside interference, dear. Family only. I think we need to calm her down, Dr. Wells said, preparing a syringe. No, I don't want to be sedated. I want to be present for my baby's birth. It's for your own good, Henry said, holding my arm as I struggled. You can't do this. I don't consent. I screamed, but my voice was ignored. Alicia, help me. I pleaded, tears streaming down my face. But she stood frozen, her own tears falling. I'm so sorry, she whispered. The last thing I remembered before the sedative took hold was Eleanor's satisfied smile. They're much better, she purred. Now we can proceed properly. I drifted in and out of consciousness, catching fragmented conversations. Such difficult behavior, one voice murmured. Thank goodness we intervened, another chimed in. The Curry name must be protected. When I finally stirred, a nurse was placing my daughter into Eleanor's arms. Welcome to the world, little Gia Curry, Eleanor cooed. Grandma will make sure you're raised properly. Through the haze, I saw Henry beaming at his mother, oblivious to me. My limbs felt leaden, and my voice was trapped in my throat. Then I noticed Alicia. Her hand slipped into her purse, retrieving something. Papers from my medical chart. Before I could process it, the darkness swallowed me again. That day, I lost more than my birth experience. I lost any illusion that Henry would ever choose me over his mother. But what Eleanor and Henry didn't realize was that their betrayal had awakened something in me, a resolve that would eventually bring their entire empire crashing down. The weeks after Gia's birth were a blur of postpartum depression and relentless surveillance. Eleanor practically moved in, criticizing my every move. You're holding her wrong, Sarah. Honestly, haven't you read any parenting books? Henry, as always, nodded along. But beneath my surface of submission, I was planning. You need to see these, Alicia whispered one afternoon, sliding copies of my medical records across the table. My hands trembled as I read. The charts were falsified. Notes about my supposed aggressive behavior were time-stamped before I even arrived at the hospital. They documented this in advance, I said, horrified. Ella texted later that night. Dr. Wells has 3 pending medical board investigations for similar incidents. She's Eleanor's go-to for difficult situations. I started recording. During one of Eleanor's lavish dinner parties, I left my phone in my purse, set to capture everything. Sarah was completely out of control, Eleanor bragged. Thankfully, Patricia knew exactly what to do. Can't have a curry baby born to some hysterical woman making a scene, just like that dreadful Catherine girl Henry dated in med school. Another voice chimed in. Oh yes, she needed similar management. Thankfully, she left before things got too serious. That was my next lead. I found Catherine on LinkedIn, now a successful surgeon in Boston. Her reply to my message was immediate. Eleanor destroyed my career prospects in Chicago, blacklisted me after I refused to know my place. As Henry's behavior worsened, he gaslit me at every turn. You're imagining things again, Sarah. Mom was right about you needing professional help. Remember how crazy you were during labor? Good thing Mom was there. I played the perfect wife, but I met in secret with Dr. Lisa Leon, a trauma therapist Ella recommended. Document everything, she advised. Dates, times, witnesses. Build your case carefully. Sam Torres, my law school friend, reviewed the growing pile of evidence. This is serious. Medical fraud, coercion, personal injury, he said, but going legal could backfire. We need something airtight. Eleanor's home office became my next target. During one of her garden club meetings, I slipped inside and found what I needed. A locked drawer filled with documentation of her calculated destruction of Julie, Brian's ex-wife. Falsified medical records, reports of stress-induced injuries, even photos of bruises. She keeps trophies, I whispered to Sam over the phone. Careful, he warned. Eleanor has powerful friends. One wrong move, and they'll crush you. I recorded Henry's drunken confession late one night. Mom always knows best, he slurred. She fixed things with Catherine too, you should be grateful. Every piece of evidence went into a secure cloud drive. Eleanor's bragging, Henry's confessions, Dr. Wells's falsified records, Julie's photos, Catherine's statement. We're almost ready, Sam confirmed. One final push. I looked at Gia, sleeping peacefully. Eleanor was already planning her future, best schools, proper friends, a suitable marriage. Not my daughter, I whispered. You won't destroy her too. Gia's first birthday was the perfect cover. While Eleanor orchestrated a grand society party, I executed my escape. Everything I needed was already moved to a new apartment. When Henry left for his shift, I took Gia and disappeared. As Eleanor's guests arrived, Henry received a text. Your mother won't be attending the party. Check your email. I sent the evidence to him, Eleanor, and their closest allies. Alicia had already submitted an anonymous tip to the medical board about Dr. Wells. Within hours, investigators seized her records. Did you hear? The whispers spread like wildfire. Dr. Wells is under investigation for medical fraud. Apparently, she was sedating women against their will. Eleanor Curry's involved. My carefully compiled evidence didn't just end up in court. It found its way into the hands of hospital administrators. Security footage showed Henry accessing patient records he had no business touching, prescribing medications without proper documentation. Dr. Curry, we need to discuss some irregularities in your practice, his chief of medicine said, the words carrying the weight of impending ruin. The scandal exploded. Eleanor's carefully curated world began to collapse. Her prestigious country club friends stopped returning her calls, her charity board positions evaporated, and the once revered queen of Chicago's social scene became a pariah. You manipulative bastard, asterisk. Henry's voice snarled through my voicemail. You've ruined everything. But the evidence was irrefutable. His hospital privileges were suspended, pending a full investigation. In family court, his erratic behavior sealed his fate. Full custody granted to the mother. The judge declared, his gaze heavy with disapproval as he looked at Henry. Alicia later told me that Henry lost his medical license, not for what he did to me, but for writing fraudulent prescriptions during his downward spiral. 5 years later, 5 years have passed, and Gia is now a confident, joyful kindergartner, untouched by Eleanor's poison. My law practice, specializing in medical advocacy, thrives. Women seek me out, sharing stories that sound all too familiar. He's gaslighting me. His mother controls everything. The doctor is their friend. Jessica, my latest client, whispered, her voice trembling. Bruised and scared, she looked like I once did. They've taken everything, she choked out. No, I said firmly. They tried, but you're stronger than they know. Let me help you prove it. My phone buzzed, another text from Henry, begging to see Gia. Delete. Another invitation from Eleanor to reconcile. Delete. Mommy, look. Gia ran up, holding a drawing of two stick figures. It's us. No manipulative grandmother. No weak father. No toxic legacy. Just us. Perfect. I smiled. That's exactly who we are. The Curry name meant nothing now. Alina's empire was dust. Henry lost everything he valued. But Gia and I, we were thriving. I turned back to Jessica, ready to fight back. Her shoulders straightened, eyes hardening with determination. Ready. I opened my laptop, thinking of the countless women still trapped in similar situations. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about breaking the cycle, one case at a time. A question for you. This story was an experiment in exploring the dark realities of medical abuse and family betrayal. Now, I have a few questions for you. If you discovered that your spouse and their family had drugged you during one of your most vulnerable moments, like childbirth, how would you respond? Would you strike back hard and fast, or would you play the long game of calculated revenge like I did? And here's the tough part, would you feel guilty watching their complete downfall, knowing they brought it on themselves? There's a fine line between justice and revenge. Did I cross it? Was it wrong to feel satisfaction seeing Eleanor lose her status and Henry his license? Or did they deserve every bit of their karma? Share your thoughts in the comments. Hi everyone, I'm Isabella. If you've ever dealt with toxic people, buckle up. This story will make your blood boil. Babe, I got it. I actually got the position. I burst through the door, waving my offer letter like a trophy. Marketing director at Reynolds and Shaw. It was finally mine. Jack, my husband of 5 years, looked up from his laptop, his boyish grin lighting up the room. Holy Isabella, that's incredible. He pulled me into a big hug, his excitement radiating warmth. We have to celebrate. This wasn't just a win for me, it was a milestone. I'd spent years supporting Jack's career at TechCore while building my own path. And now, at 29, I had landed my dream job. Bonus, it came with a bigger salary than his. How about a dinner party? Your sister's been asking about the job hunt. I already texted her. Sarah and Tom are coming Saturday. Ah, Sarah, Jack's sister, a top real estate agent with a flawless exterior and a knack for backhanded compliments. Navigating her interesting personality was a skill I'd reluctantly mastered over the years. Rachel's coming too, right? I asked, thinking of my best friend who worked in HR at Sarah's firm. If anyone could keep Sarah in check, it was Rachel. Absolutely, Jack said, smiling. This promotion deserves your bestie. Saturday arrived, a swirl of clinking wine glasses and forced smiles. Sarah sat across from me, her diamond bracelet catching the light as she swirled her wine. Marketing director, who would have thought? I mean, with your background. Her smile was polished, but her eyes were sharp. My chest tightened. What do you mean by background? Rachel, ever protective, jumped in. I'm sure she meant nothing by it. Of course not, Sarah said smoothly. I just meant some of us worked our way up more traditionally. Her husband Tom cleared his throat. The corporate world's changing, Sarah. Traditional isn't always better. Obviously, darling, she said, her tone syrupy. I just hope Isabella can handle such a demanding position. Late nights, constant meetings. She shot a pointed look at Jack. It changes people. Jack shifted uncomfortably. Sarah, come on. Oh, remember that director I told you about, Jack? The one who left his wife last year. All those business trips. Her voice dripped with Fox concern. Rachel shot to her feet. Sarah, can you help me with dessert? In the kitchen, I overheard Rachel confronting her. What's your problem? That was completely unnecessary. I'm just looking out for my brother, Sarah snapped. Sudden success can be complicated. Later, Jack found me in the kitchen. Wrapping his arms around my waist, he murmured, "Don't let her get to you. She's just being Sarah." "Yeah," I said, forcing a smile. "Just Sarah." But something in my gut told me this wasn't over, and I was right. The first cracks appeared subtly. Jack stopped kissing me goodbye in the mornings. His usual love you text disappeared, replaced by a distracted frown as he stared at his phone. "You're home late again," he muttered one evening as I walked in at 8 p.m. "Big presentation tomorrow," I said. David needed the numbers revised. "David?" His tone sharpened. "Your boss. The one Sarah mentioned seeing you with at Riverside Cafe." I froze. "What?" "I had a team lunch there. The whole marketing department." "Funny," Jack said, his eyes narrowing. "Sarah said it looked intimate. Just the two of you." "That's ridiculous," I said, my voice rising. "Lisa was there. So was the entire creative team." The next day, Lisa cornered me in the break room. "Hey, weird question. Did your sister-in-law call the office?" "What? Why?" "She was asking about you and David. Wanted to know if you two were close." "Don't worry, I told her you're never alone. I'm always there." My stomach twisted. That evening, I found Jack sitting at my desk, my work laptop open. "What are you doing?" I demanded. "Nothing," he said too casually. "Just curious about all these late nights." "Since when do you not trust me?" I demanded, my voice trembling. "Since things stopped adding up," Jack replied coldly. He pulled out his phone and showed me photos, pictures of me at various work events. But something was wrong. The angles, the cropping, they made innocent conversations look intimate, almost incriminating. "That's not. Those are manipulated." I protested, my voice rising. "Look at this one. It's from the company picnic. The entire team was there." Jack's jaw tightened. "Sarah says people saw you getting into David's car. For a team lunch, right? Funny how it didn't look like that. Ask Lisa. Ask anyone who was there." But he was already walking away, Sarah's poison sinking deeper into his mind. At the office, Rachel stormed into my cubicle, her eyes blazing. "You won't believe what I just heard." "What now?" I muttered, bracing myself for the next wave of chaos. I was in the break room at the real estate firm when Sarah started talking to Madison. She said, "Little Miss Marketing Director won't be so smug when Jack sees all the evidence. I've always known she wasn't good enough for him. Time to put her in her place." My stomach dropped. "She's bragging about it." Rachel nodded, her jaw clenched. "She's not just spreading lies, Isabella. She's strategizing. Deliberately, methodically destroying your marriage." I slumped in my chair, the weight of it crashing down on me. While I'd been pouring my energy into proving myself at Reynolds and Shaw, Sarah had been weaving a web of deception to tear apart everything I built. My career, my marriage, my life. That night, I made one last attempt. "Jack, your sister is lying. She's always been threatened by me, by us." "Stop blaming Sarah," Jack snapped, his voice laced with frustration. "She's looking out for me. Maybe if you spent less time with David." "I can't believe you're choosing her lies over 5 years of trust." I cried, my voice breaking. But he just walked away, leaving me standing there shattered. The next day, Jack dropped a manila envelope on the kitchen table. "We need to talk." Inside were more doctor photos, fake text messages, and a typed document detailing my supposed affair. "This is insane," I said, flipping through the pages. "These aren't even real messages." "Really?" Jack's tone was ice. "Because Sarah says she found them in the cloud backup." "She's manipulating you," I shouted. "None of this is real." "Then explain this," he said, playing a voicemail from David. His voice, taken out of context, mentioned a late meeting. "That's from the Johnson campaign. The whole team was there until midnight." "Just stop, Isabella." Jack's voice cracked, his resolve crumbling. "I'm staying at Sarah's for a while." He grabbed his bag and walked out the door. At Aunt Carol's birthday party, the whispers followed me like shadows. "Poor Jack," I overheard one woman say. "Sarah told me everything. That marketing job really changed her." I escaped to the bathroom, my hands shaking, and called Rachel in tears. "Listen to this," Rachel said, her voice urgent. She played a recording. Sarah's voice, clear and smug, echoed through the phone. "It was so easy," Sarah gloated. "Just a few tweaked photos, some edited messages. Jack's always been so naive. Isabella thinks she's so special with her big promotion, but I'm showing everyone what she really is. Rage replaced my tears. But Rachel wasn't done. Tom found something, she said. On their home computer, Sarah's been using Photoshop, creating fake emails, threads, photos. There's a whole folder. At work, Lisa rushed to my desk. Isabella, our it guy Kevin confessed. He's been trying to hack your email. Sarah paid him. David called me into his office. Isabella, we flagged unusual login attempts on your account. Also, Sarah's been calling our clients, asking about our meetings. My world was in pieces, but something shifted inside me. The pain hardened into resolve. That night, standing alone in the house surrounded by the remnants of my life, I made a decision. My phone buzzed, another text from Jack. Sarah found more proof. How could you do this to us? I ignored it. Rachel called next. We've got her, Isabella. Tom documented everything. Lisa caught the it guy. David's got proof of her harassment. We have all the evidence. I looked at our wedding photo on the mantel, the smiling faces of two people who'd promised each other forever. The tears stopped. The pain turned to steel. Send me everything, I told Rachel. Every recording, every document, every fake photo. It's time everyone knows the truth. What are you going to do? Rachel asked cautiously. I straightened my shoulders, the fire inside me burning hotter than ever. I'm going to take back my life. And Sarah? She's going to learn what happens when you mess with the wrong woman. I pulled out my laptop and began compiling the evidence. Sarah thought she'd won. But she had no idea this was just the beginning of her end. It's time, Rachel said, handing me a USB drive. Every word of Sarah bragging about destroying your marriage is on here. Tom's email followed minutes later. Attached was Sarah's entire folder of manipulated evidence, timestamped photos with original versions before her edits, detailed plans to hack my work email, and even a schedule of when to feed Jack's specific proof. There's more, Lisa said, joining our conference call. We traced the hacking attempts. Kevin confessed everything. Sarah paid him $5,000 to break into your work email. Then came the bombshell from Tom. I'm filing for divorce. I can't stay married to someone this manipulative. I'm making everything public. Her vendetta, the fake evidence, all of it. The fallout was swift. Sarah's real estate firm called an emergency board meeting. Rachel texted me updates as it unfolded. They're reviewing everything, Rachel wrote. Sarah's trying to deny it, but Tom's evidence is irrefutable. The board's worried about reputation damage. Hours later, the final verdict arrived, terminated effective immediately. The firm released a statement condemning her actions. Fabricating evidence and destroying families violates our moral code, it read. Sarah's termination hit the industry newsletters within days. Major firms blacklisted her, unwilling to take on the liability of someone so toxic. Her once golden reputation was in tatters. Jack appeared at my door one rainy evening, looking broken. Isabella, he said softly, his voice cracking. I'm so sorry. I should have trusted you. You were right about Sarah. She manipulated me, and I fell for it. Please, I'll do anything to fix this. I stared at him, feeling nothing but the weight of betrayal. You're right, Jack. Sarah manipulated you, but you still chose to trust her lies over the love we built. There's nothing left to fix. As Sarah's carefully curated life fell apart, the calls began. Mutual friends and family, armed with the truth, confronted her. Job applications were rejected. Angry messages filled her voicemail. Then she called me, her voice trembling. Isabella, please, she begged. I'm losing everything. Can't you tell them it was a misunderstanding? I almost laughed. Like you told everyone my success came from sleeping with my boss? Karma's not so fun, is it, Sarah? I hung up, my heart steady. 6 months later, a for sale sign went up in front of Sarah and Tom's house. She couldn't afford it anymore. No reputable firm would touch her. Her social circle evaporated, leaving her with nothing but the wreckage of her own making. Meanwhile, I thrived. Reynolds and Shaw promoted me to executive marketing director after the Johnson campaign broke records. My divorce papers sat signed on my lawyer's desk, ready to close the final chapter of that part of my life. This wasn't just a victory, it was a rebirth. Sometimes, karma doesn't just knock, it kicks down the whole damn door. Now I have a question for you. What would you do if your spouse believed lies about you without giving you the chance to defend yourself? Would you forgive them once the truth came out, or would you, like I did, see their lack of trust as a revelation of their true character? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hi, everyone. I'm Sandra, a 33-year-old marketing executive at Thompson & Partners. Today, I want to share how I escaped my toxic in-laws and rebuilt my life. Trust me, you'll want to stick around for the ending. 2 years ago, I thought I found my fairy tale. I met Jack Bennett at the annual Children's Hospital Charity Gala. Charming, successful, and seemingly aligned with my values, Jack swept me off my feet. Our whirlwind romance was a dream: fancy dinners, surprise weekend getaways, and within 6 months, we were married. "You're exactly what this family needs, dear," his mother, Linda, gushed during my first dinner with the Bennetts. Someone bright and modern to shake things up. She welcomed me warmly, offering advice on family dynamics and always wearing a pleasant smile. But then there was Robert Bennett, Jack's father, a wealthy real estate mogul who ran his family like one of his businesses. From the start, his views were clear. "A working wife in our family?" he scoffed during our first meeting. "Jack, shouldn't you be making enough to support her?" "Dad, times have changed," Jack defended, though his voice wavered. "Sandra's career is important to her." Jack's sister Sarah and her husband Tom tried to warn me during our engagement party. "Sandra, you seem great, but you need to know what you're getting into," Sarah whispered. "Dad's controlling, especially with money." "He almost sabotaged my startup," Tom added. "Thought it would take too much attention away from the family business." I dismissed their concerns. I had my own life, my own career, and my best friends, Emma and David, who kept me grounded. "Girl, your father-in-law gives me the creeps," Emma said one day over sushi. "The way he grilled you about your Nordstrom purchases at dinner? Red flag." "He's just showing interest," I replied, though I was starting to see those red flags myself. Weekly dinners at the Bennett mansion became a battleground. Robert would make pointed comments about proper wives and managing households full-time. "By the way, Sandra, I noticed you bought a new car," he announced one evening. "Don't you think that's a bit extravagant for someone in your position?" "Do you mean my position as a senior marketing executive or as your daughter-in-law?" I shot back. Jack, as usual, avoided eye contact, focusing intently on his mashed potatoes. Linda would try to mediate, her smile strained as she glanced at Robert for approval before speaking. "We're just looking out for your best interests," Robert would say, his smile never reaching his eyes. After these dinners, Jack and I would drive home in silence. "He means well," Jack would finally murmur. "That's just how Dad shows he cares." But I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd married into something far more complicated than I'd imagined. It all came to a head during a family dinner last month. I had just received a major promotion, and Linda insisted on celebrating with my favorite lasagna, despite Robert's disapproval. "I suppose even little achievements deserve recognition," Robert sneered, pushing his plate away. "Though real success comes from building something lasting, like my empire." "My marketing campaign increased client revenue by 40%, I countered. "That seems pretty lasting to me." His face turned red. In one swift motion, he swept his plate off the table, sending lasagna splattering across the expensive dining room floor. "Well, since you're so capable at work," he growled, "why don't you show us how capable you are at cleaning? That's what real wives do." I sat frozen, stunned. Jack just gripped his fork, knuckles white. "Jack," I whispered, pleading. Maybe just help clean up," he muttered. "You know how Dad gets." That night, Linda called me in tears. "I'm so sorry, dear," she sobbed. He's not usually like this." "Actually, he is," Sarah interrupted during our emergency coffee meetup the next morning. Her voice was sharp, her expression grim. "Remember my first husband? Dad basically orchestrated our divorce because he didn't fit the Bennett image. And that's not even the worst part." She pulled out her phone, scrolling quickly. "Tom found something in the company records," she said, pushing the screen toward me. "Dad's been moving money around, including from your joint accounts with Jack." My hands shook as I opened my banking app. Sure enough, large sums had been withdrawn and invested in Robert's projects, all authorized by Jack. "Why did you tell me?" I confronted Jack that evening, holding out the evidence. "Dad knows what he's doing with money," Jack said defensively. "He's just protecting our future by stealing from us." "It's not stealing if it's family," he replied, parroting his father's words like a dutiful son. The next blow came from Emma at work. "Sandra, you need to see this," she said, pulling me into a conference room. She showed me an email thread between Robert and our company's board members. In the messages, Robert questioned my stability and suitability for leadership. "He's been reaching out to your major clients too," David added, his tone furious, "undermining your projects." I confronted Jack again. "Dad's just protective of the family reputation," he said with a shrug. "Maybe if you tried harder to fit in." "Fit in? Like your mother, afraid to breathe without his permission." "Don't talk about my family like that," Jack snapped. "Our family, Jack. I'm your wife." "Then act like it." The chasm between us widened. Jack spent more time at his parents' house while I threw myself into work. But Robert's influence reached everywhere. Clients began pulling out, citing vague leadership concerns. "My hands are tied," my boss said in a closed-door meeting. "Your father-in-law's been busy." Desperate, I called Sarah. "How did you survive this?" I sobbed. "I didn't," she admitted. "Not until I stopped trying to please him. But Sandra, this goes beyond family drama. Tom found evidence that Dad's been using company funds to bribe city officials. He's running a criminal empire." The next weeks were a whirlwind. Tom unearthed more damning documents, transactions linking Robert to shell companies, money laundering, and fraud. I started keeping meticulous records of every interaction, every email, every comment, every suspicious bank transfer. One afternoon, I found Linda alone in the garden, her hands trembling as she tended to the flowers. "I should have warned you," she whispered. 40 years of this. He controls everything, my credit cards, my phone, even my mother's nursing home payments. I tried to leave once, back in '95. He threatened to ruin my brother's business. The final blow came when I checked my personal account, the one I had long before marrying Jack. Nearly $50,000 was gone. "I gave Dad access," Jack admitted when I confronted him again. "He said it was for our future." "For the family?" I laughed bitterly. "Jack, we're not the Rockefellers. We're victims of your father's ego." Everything erupted at the next family dinner. Robert was in the middle of boasting about his latest development project when I cut in. "Like how you sacrificed my savings," I said, "or Linda's inheritance, or the city contracts you bribed officials for." The room went silent. Robert's face darkened. "You ungrateful little—" "I have proof," I interrupted, meeting his glare. "Every transaction, every bribe, every threat." "Jack," Robert barked, "control your wife." I turned to Jack, my heart pounding. "Please, Jack, look at what he's doing to us." Jack stood slowly. My heart sank. "Dad's right," he said. "You've changed, Sandra. You're not the woman I married." "No," I replied, rising to my feet. "I'm stronger than the woman you married, and I'm done." "If you walk out that door," Robert growled, "you'll have nothing." "I'll make sure of it." "Actually," Tom said, stepping forward, "she has everything. Copies of all the documents, bank records, witness statements." "You betray family," Robert sputtered. "No," Sarah said coldly. "We're protecting family from you." I walked out of the Bennett mansion that night for the last time. Emma and David were waiting outside, my belongings already packed in their car. "I filed for divorce this morning," I told them as we drove away. "What about all the evidence?" Emma asked. I smiled for the first time in weeks. "Oh, I have plans for that. Robert wants to play games. Let's play." 6 months later, I sat in my new corner office, sipping coffee as I watched Robert's empire crumble in real time on CNBC. Breaking news: Bennett Real Estate under federal investigation. My marketing skills had come in handy, not for covering up scandals like Robert had hoped, but for rebuilding my career. I started my own consulting firm, focusing on ethical business practices. The irony wasn't lost on me, turning a lessons learned from Robert's corrupt empire into a foundation for integrity. "Did you see the news?" Sarah called, her voice electric with excitement. "Mom finally did it. She filed for divorce." Linda had called me just last week, her voice stronger than I'd ever heard it. "You showed me it was possible to start over," she'd said. "I hired a lawyer. I'm taking half of everything." My phone buzzed with another text, this time from Jack. "Baby, please. Dad's company is falling apart. He's not himself. We need you back." I deleted it without responding. Last I heard, Jack had been fired from 3 jobs after word got out about his role in Daddy's schemes. The evidence Tom and I had uncovered was damning. Fake companies, embezzled funds, and decades of fraud, all exposed. Robert's carefully curated reputation crumbled faster than his bank accounts. "Miss Carson, your 2 o'clock is here," my assistant said, poking her head into my office. "Mrs. Bennett?" I asked. "Miss Linda Matthews now," she corrected with a smile. Linda looked years younger as she stepped into my office. She sat across from me, her posture poised and her eyes bright. "I never thought I'd be starting over at 60, she said. "But here I am. Will you help me sort out my finances?" "Of course," I replied warmly. "That's what family does, real family." Later that evening, I joined my family for our weekly dinner. It was nothing like those tense nights at the Bennett mansion. Around the table, Sarah, Tom, Emma, and David raised their glasses. "To karma," Emma toasted, grinning. "To freedom," Linda added, her smile radiant. My phone lit up with a news alert. Bennett Real Estate CEO Robert Bennett faces criminal charges. I glanced outside where the sun was setting, painting the sky in rich hues of orange and pink. My new campaign had launched to rave reviews. My firm was thriving. Next week, I was scheduled to speak at a women's empowerment conference about financial independence and resilience. "You know," Linda said as we strolled to grab dessert, "I wasted 40 years being afraid. You saved me from wasting 40 more." I squeezed her hand, my heart full. Robert had tried to destroy me, but instead he'd made me stronger. He thought family was about control. He never understood that real family is about love. And love, unlike his empire, was something he couldn't corrupt. What would you do if you discovered your spouse was helping their parents steal your savings? Would you try to save the marriage or, like me, recognize the betrayal as too deep to forgive? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Hi everyone, my name is Patricia William. I never thought I'd be sharing this, but maybe my story will help someone recognize the signs I missed. It all started 3 years ago. I was 28 and running my growing interior design firm when I first met Thomas. "We need something modern yet timeless for our new corporate headquarters," he said during our initial meeting. His confident smile and trust in my vision for the space were magnetic. Thomas's compliments became a regular thing. "Your eye for detail is incredible," he'd say, often lingering after project meetings. One coffee date turned into dinner, and before I knew it, we were inseparable. His mother, Catherine, was warm and welcoming from the start. "Sweetheart, you bring out the best in my Thomas," she said while helping me pick wedding flowers. I haven't seen him this happy in years. Our wedding was a dream, and the first months of marriage felt perfect. Thomas showered me with thoughtful gifts and surprise weekend getaways. When I found out I was pregnant just 6 months after the wedding, his excitement seemed genuine. Catherine was over the moon. "We need the most magical nursery ever," she exclaimed, thumbing through design catalogs with me. But then, little things started to change. Thomas's work meetings stretched later and later. Odd charges appeared on our credit card statements. "The market's been crazy," he explained casually. "Just some client entertainment expenses." My best friend, Sarah, noticed first. "Patricia, isn't it strange how he's never home for dinner anymore? And what about those late-night texts?" I defended him, brushing it off. "He's working hard for us." Even Catherine seemed uneasy. She'd give me concerned looks when Thomas showed up late to family dinners, his eyes glassy, his movements unsteady. But she never said anything directly. Victoria, his business partner, made a passing comment at a corporate event. "Thomas has been different in meetings. Is everything okay at home?" I ignored it, focusing instead on my pregnancy and designing the nursery. The pale blue walls and hand-painted clouds were coming together beautifully, just like I thought our life was. Until the night I found the receipt. I was searching for a missing invoice in Thomas's home office when I stumbled across a receipt from a jewelry store. The items weren't for me. That same night, he claimed he was stuck in a budget meeting. "The shop project's behind schedule," he slurred over the phone. "Don't wait up." Looking back, all the signs were there. The missing money, the late nights, the mood swings, the secretive phone calls. But love can blind you to the truth you don't want to face. My truth unraveled in the most heartbreaking way in a delivery room. At 2 a.m., contractions hit like a freight train. Sarah rushed me to the hospital, frantically trying to reach Thomas. His phone went straight to voicemail, 6 times. Catherine arrived minutes later, her face tight with worry. He's not answering my calls either, she whispered, squeezing my hand as another contraction racked my body. 3 hours later, Thomas finally stumbled into the delivery room. The sharp stench of alcohol announced his arrival before he even spoke. Why's everyone being so dramatic? It's just a baby, he slurred, barely able to stand. The nurses exchanged uneasy glances. Dr. Chen stepped in, firm but composed. Mr. William, if you can't compose yourself. A scream tore from my throat as another contraction hit. What happened next plays in slow motion in my mind. Thomas lurched forward, his face twisted with rage. Shut up, you're embarrassing me. His hand struck my face before anyone could stop him. The room erupted. Security guards rushed in. Catherine's scream mixed with the shouts of the medical staff. Get him out, now, Dr. Chen commanded, her voice like steel. That's my son, Catherine cried, grabbing his face. Thomas, you're high. You just hit your wife in labor. Leave, now. Thomas was dragged out, kicking and shouting. The next 2 hours were a haze of pain, tears, and sheer determination. At 7:43 a.m., Alexander James William entered the world, perfect despite the chaos that had preceded his arrival. As I recovered in the hospital, Catherine went to our house to gather some essentials. When she returned, her face was pale, and she clutched a small bag tightly. I found these in his office, she whispered, showing me photos on her phone. Hidden compartments revealed baggies of white powder, pills, and drug paraphernalia. There's more, so much more. The truth hit me harder than Thomas's slap ever had. The missing money, the erratic behavior, the late nights, it all made terrible sense. 3 days later, Catherine and I confronted him. She insisted on being there, and thank God she was. You went through my private things. Thomas's eyes were wild, unfocused. You had no right. You're an addict, Thomas. Catherine's voice cracked with pain. You need help. His face twisted with rage as he lunged forward, knocking his desk chair to the floor. You're both crazy. This is my house, my life. You hit your wife while she was giving birth to your son. Catherine snapped, stepping between us as he advanced. Get out, both of you. With one violent sweep of his arm, Thomas sent everything on his desk crashing to the floor. The sound of shattering glass punctuated his fury. I clutched the photos Catherine had taken, proof of his addiction, proof I wasn't imagining things, proof that my seemingly perfect life had been built on lies. The security cameras caught everything. His aggression, his obvious intoxication, his threats. Catherine insisted we file a report that night. I love my son, she said later, cradling baby Alex as I packed a bag of essentials. But I won't let him hurt you or this precious boy. We need to plan carefully, Patricia. This is just the beginning. Looking at my newborn son, I felt a shift inside me. Fear hardened into determination. Thomas didn't know it yet, but his empire of lies was about to crumble. I just had to be smart about how I dismantled it. The first 2 months with Alex were a blur of sleepless nights and constant vigilance. Thomas's behavior grew increasingly erratic, but I knew I couldn't act until I had undeniable proof. That proof arrived one rainy afternoon in the form of Victoria Hayes, his business partner. We need to talk, she whispered, her hands trembling as we met at a small cafe 3 towns over. Not here. We're not safe here. Victoria pulled out a folder and laid it on the table. Look at these contracts, she said, her voice shaking. The signatures don't match. And these vendor payments, they're going to shell companies Thomas created. My stomach churned as she showed me spreadsheet after spreadsheet. Millions of dollars were missing, traced to accounts I didn't recognize. He's selling company assets behind my back, she said, tears welling up. Last week, I caught him making a drug deal in the parking garage. When he saw me, he said he'd destroy me if I told anyone. Back home, I started digging. Catherine watched Alex while I combed through Thomas's office at night. The evidence was staggering. Your client, the Hendersons, their $50,000 deposit never made it to your business account, Catherine said, showing me bank records. Thomas intercepted it. One night, I found his burner phone. The messages made my stomach turn. Exchanges with drug dealers, explicit texts with multiple women, including clients I recognized. Just closed another deal with Mrs. Peterson, One message read, "The stupid expletive thinks she's getting a penthouse renovation. Her husband's money will keep us in powder for months." Victoria called me at midnight, sobbing. "The company is weeks away from bankruptcy. Thomas just emptied our emergency reserves." I installed hidden cameras in his office. The footage was damning. Thomas snorting lines off client contracts, making threats over the phone, and counting stacks of cash. "You're nothing without me," he screamed one night, high out of his mind. "I made you successful. I own you." Catherine helped me document everything: the bruises, the threatening texts, the bounced checks to Alex's pediatrician. "We need a bulletproof plan," she said, helping me photograph the contents of Thomas's secret safe. "One wrong move, and he'll destroy everything you've built." The final straw came when I discovered Alex's college fund was empty. Every penny was gone. I had some business opportunities. Thomas smirked when I confronted him. "The kid's barely 2 months old. Plenty of time to rebuild it." Catherine helped me set up secret bank accounts while Victoria rallied board members who already suspected something was wrong. "Tomorrow morning, everything changes," Victoria promised. "The board meeting will expose it all. Be ready." That night, while packing Alex's essentials into a go bag, I found a receipt for a storage unit. Inside was the mother lode, detailed records of every illegal transaction, every stolen dollar, every betrayal. "It's his insurance policy," Catherine realized. "Proof to blackmail everyone if he gets caught." Little did Thomas know, his insurance policy would be his downfall. By tomorrow, his empire of lies would collapse. But first, I had to get Alex and myself to safety. "I've got a safe house ready," Catherine whispered, cradling her grandson tightly. "Let him walk into that board meeting thinking he's still in control. By the time he realizes what's happening, it'll be too late." At dawn, Catherine drove Alex and me to the safe house. My phone buzzed with a message from Victoria. "Board meeting in 1 hour. Everything's ready." From our secure location, I watched the live stream. Thomas swaggered into the boardroom, his trademark arrogance plastered across his face. But his smirk froze the moment Victoria stood up, a remote control in her hand. "Board members," she began, her voice steady and clear. "What you're about to see will shock you." Slide after slide exposed Thomas's crimes: embezzlement, fraudulent contracts, offshore accounts, and drug transactions. The room was silent except for the sharp intake of breath from the board members. Thomas shot to his feet and lunged for the door, but security guards were waiting. His face twisted with fury as DEA agents stepped into view. "You can't prove anything," he shouted, desperation cracking his voice. Victoria remained calm. "Your own records prove everything," she said, clicking to the next slide. A photo of the contents from his storage unit. "Your so-called insurance policy has become your prison sentence." Catherine's testimony was the final blow. "My son is a danger to his wife and child," she declared in court, her voice unwavering. "I have documented his drug abuse, his violence, and his threats. He needs to be held accountable." Thomas cycled through rehab centers like vacation homes, checking in, checking out, and relapsing every time. Each attempt at recovery was more hollow than the last. Meanwhile, my life was transforming. My design firm, Phoenix Interiors, rose from the ashes of my shattered marriage. High-profile clients who admired my strength trusted me with their projects. "Strong women support strong women" became our unofficial motto, and it resonated deeply. 3 years flew by. My studio was thriving, and Alex had grown into a joyful preschooler who loved helping me paint with his toy brushes. "Just like Mommy," he'd exclaim, giggling as Catherine snapped pictures. Her gallery of grandson photos dominated the living room, each one more cherished than the last. On Alex's 3rd birthday, a letter arrived. It was from Thomas's lawyer, pleading for a reconciliation. "I've changed," the letter claimed. "I deserve another chance." I didn't even finish reading it. Instead, I fed it into the bonfire at Alex's party, watching the words crumble into ash. Inside, Alex blew out his candles, surrounded by love and laughter, genuine happiness. In the background, the TV played breaking news. Former CEO Thomas Williams sentenced for fraud, embezzlement, and drug trafficking. "Make a wish, sweetheart," Catherine said, holding Alex up to his cake. Victoria was ready with her camera, capturing the moment. Looking around at my real family, Catherine, who had chosen truth over loyalty to her son, Victoria, who risked everything to expose corruption, and Alex, my sweet boy who would grow up knowing only honesty and strength, I realized some wishes had already come true. "Mommy, can we paint my room blue tomorrow?" Alex asked, frosting smudge across his cheek. I smiled, meeting Catherine's proud gaze. "Of course, baby, we can make it any color you want." Because we were free to create a life filled with joy, integrity, and hope. Thomas's prison sentence was justice, but our happiness, that was the sweetest revenge of all. What would you have done if you discovered your spouse's addiction and betrayal at one of the most vulnerable moments of your life, during childbirth? Would you give them another chance, or would you choose to protect yourself and your child? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments.